In today's smart home market, there are several different smart lock options, but very few that don't require you to take apart your deadbolt to swap it out. And in this video, we'll be taking a look at the SwitchBot Lock, which allows for you to retrofit almost any type of already installed door lock into a smart lock. While SwitchBot did send me their smart lock to try out, the thoughts and opinions in this video are my own and have had no outside influence, monetary or otherwise. The SwitchBot Lock sells in a few different combinations, ranging from just the lock to combos with the lock, keypad, and SwitchBot Hub Mini. The lock by itself sells for $99 USD, and the different combos have different prices. There are also two different keypads you can purchase, one that supports passcode and contact cards, and one that supports passcodes, contact cards, and has a built-in fingerprint reader. I won't be touching on the keypad too much in this video, as I have a separate video going into greater detail about it that I recommend checking out after this video if you're interested in getting a keypad as well. On top of the ability to use your regular key, the SwitchBot app, SwitchBot NFC tags, or a SwitchBot keypad to interact with the door, there is also a widget available for both iOS and Android. And if you have an Apple Watch, you can use that as well. And if you have a SwitchBot Hub, you can add the lock into other smart home voice assistants such as Google Home, or with other home automation solutions such as If This Then That, or even SmartThings. The SwitchBot Lock is listed as supporting a large range of different types of deadbolts. And for very unique situations, they might be able to 3D print a custom adapter if needed as well, which is a great service to see. The lock mounts to your door utilizing a 3M adhesive mount. The lock also features a built-in contact sensor, which I do appreciate. To use it, all you have to do is mount the included magnet on the door frame. The lock also comes with a SwitchBot tag that allows for you to set up a SwitchBot scene with the tap of your phone, such as locking the door on your way out. The SwitchBot Lock operates on two CR123A batteries that are rated to last up to about 6 months. Also take note that the lock itself is not rated for outdoor use. It is only intended for indoor installation. Installation of the lock is pretty straightforward. And if you plan on using my video for installation instructions, make sure to watch through everything first before attempting installation. First, I recommend determining which adapter you'll need of the 3 included. You can do this by putting the adapter over the deadbolt and making sure it both fits properly and can turn the deadbolt. If none of the adapters fit, you can contact SwitchBot support to have a custom 3D printed adapter made, as long as the SwitchBot Lock can in fact support your lock. With the proper adapter determined, you'll want to decide on the orientation of the lock. You can either install it vertically like how I will be, or you can install it horizontally. This flexibility is nice as it allows for more door options being supported. After, with your desired adapter connected, determine if you need to extend the support arm on the lock. You can do this by holding the whole lock over your deadbolt and seeing if it can sit flush against your door. If it doesn't, you'll need to pull off the top cover and unscrew the 4 screws to pull the metal support out. I recommend once you find the extension level you think you'll want to use, put a screw on each side to make sure that the metal brackets stay at the correct extension, and verify again to make sure it is in fact the length you need. Once you're pretty certain the length is correct, firmly hold it against the door and turn the SwitchBot Lock to make sure it can turn your deadbolt. Once you are certain that it is the correct length, you can replace all of the screws. Next, wipe down the area around where the lock is to be installed with the included wipe and wait for it to dry. Once the door is dry and you're ready to attach the lock, remove the backing of the 3M pad attached to the lock and carefully line up the lock over your deadbolt, making it as center as possible on the deadbolt center point. Next, you'll want to push your SwitchBot Lock against your door and hold it for at least 2 minutes. Make sure that the lock is as level as possible when attaching to your door. It'll still work, but if it's not level, it might look a bit odd, like mine. Or it's possible you could have it angled very weird to the point that the magnet isn't properly sensed. I recommend using a laser level for assistance if you have one, and not to do the installation at 1 in the morning like I did so that you are paying proper attention. After at least 2 minutes, you can let go of the lock and remove the fixing tape around the side of the adapter. It's now time to set up the lock within the app. If you haven't been following along within the app for installation steps, you'll need to go into the SwitchBot app and click on the plus sign at the top right hand side of the screen. Next, scroll down to the lock and click on it. If you haven't done so, remove the battery insulation sheet to power on the lock. The light on it will blink blue. If you have already removed the battery installation sheet, and the SwitchBot lock is no longer blinking, simply remove the batteries and place them back in to start pairing again. You will then be prompted to give your lock a name and assign it to a room. Once you're all set, you can click on Next. If you have a SwitchBot hub, you can pair the lock to it now to provide remote access to the lock. This allows for you to be able to check the status of the lock, receive notifications from the lock, create automations with the lock, link it to other cloud services such as Google Home, Amazon Voice Assistant, or other smart home services, and control the SwitchBot lock remotely. If you do not pair the lock with the hub, you will only be able to interact with it when you are within Bluetooth range of the lock. I'll be pairing it to one of my hubs, so I'll click Next, but if you don't want to pair it to a hub, simply click on Skip. Select the hub you want to pair to, and a few moments later you'll get a success screen, indicating your SwitchBot lock has been successfully connected to your hub. You'll then be presented with the option to either walk through the installation process in the app, or that the lock has already been installed. Going through installation in the app will give you both video and pictorial instruction options. Since my lock is already installed, I'm going to select that option. Next is to install the door contact magnet. This will be used to notify when the door is left open. Depending on your lock installation, you'll need to line it up with the lock correctly. After the magnet is installed, click on Calibrate Lock. Next, you'll go through several different steps to calibrate the lock correctly. I ended up not turning the lock enough the first time around, so don't worry if you do the same, as you'll be able to recalibrate the lock under the settings. Within the settings for the lock, you'll find several different options. For basic settings, you'll find options for indicator light, sound, and remote lock notification. Notifications is pretty self-explanatory. Here you'll be able to enable or disable several different types of notifications, and to set up how long a door has to be left open to trigger the door ajar notification. Alerts allow for audible notifications from the SwitchBot lock when the door is left open or the door is left unlocked. Auto lock settings allow for you to set up automatic locking settings for locking after the door is shut, as well as just relocking the door if it was unlocked without being opened. Dual lock settings allow for you to have two SwitchBot locks on one door and control both as a single lock. Cloud services is where you could enable sharing with other smart home services if the lock is connected to a hub. And NFC settings allow for you to set up SwitchBot tags to either lock or unlock the door. You're also able to use the SwitchBot lock within SwitchBot scenes. This means you can use the door opening or closing, or the lock unlocking or locking as a scene trigger to activate other SwitchBot devices. You cannot, however, perform actions with the lock as part of a scene. When pairing the SwitchBot lock with either of the keypads, you'll get the added benefit of being able to create pins for multiple people, using contact cards or keychains to unlock the lock, and fingerprints if you purchase the fingerprint reader version. For both passcodes and contact cards, you're able to configure both permanent and temporary entries, with temporary entries being able to have time limits around when they are usable. With passcodes, you can also set up one-time and emergency passcodes. One-time passcodes operate just like they sound, with only being usable once, while emergency passcodes will trigger email notifications if they are used, which is a feature I like to see in a security-based product. When integrated with a SwitchBot hub, you'll also be able to share the lock with third-party services such as Google Home, If This Then That, or SmartThings. When tied into Google Home, you'll be able to lock and unlock the SwitchBot lock from a voice assistant, and include locking the SwitchBot lock as part of a Google Home routine. A quick tech tip for you. In order to unlock the SwitchBot lock with Google Voice Assistant, you do need to have a pin set, which is actually set up within the SwitchBot app, not the Google Home app. When added to SmartThings, the SwitchBot lock can be controlled through the SmartThings app, and you can see the battery life for it as well. You're also able to use the lock state and battery percentage to drive automations within routines, as well as lock and unlock the lock. You can also add it to WebCore and use it within automation pistons as well. What I really appreciate is that within the SwitchBot lock logs, you can see what services is interacting with the lock. This is nice for troubleshooting possible automation issues and also just having a better understanding of how your lock is being used. I wouldn't mind seeing the door status within third-party services. I would expect it to be just a different device that's added and is shown as a contact sensor. This could then be used in automations based on door state. If you want to get a more in-depth look at the SwitchBot keypad, you can check out my video going over it right here. Right here. Right here. Ah, there it is. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up so that YouTube knows that to show it to other people. Thank you for watching.